Alright, we're here at the Sands Ford Super Show. We're going to do a burro builds with the Morgan Clarke designs.
Yep, MCD1.
MCD1, F100, Toyota.
It's actually a Tundra.
I don't know what you call it.
It's actually a Chevy.
A
Wait,
Fundra?
it's actually a Ford.
A Fundra?
Yeah. I mean, you'd have to add a Chevy into that too. So, I don't know.
We got Chevy motor.
Yeah.
Ford
Chevy,
body.
454 LSX, Colhane 4L80, traditional kind of stuff. 750 horse on race gas. This thing was Eric Connor SoCal suspension, Gen 1 Tundra, extra cab, Jubera built the front end. It was center mount, traditional center mount, swing steer, coilover bypass, big travel, 95 inches wide outside the tires. 24, I would say, 24 inches in the front, and it was 10 inches longer. Eric talked about that, like Eric's dream truck has always been an F100. He's always wanted one, and he went to LS Fest, before LS Fest in April of this year. He's like, hey, I sold the black bug that I had, Bug Baiter, and then he's like, I want to do a cab swap on the Tundra. We started looking at 1400 trucks first, and just seeing if we were something we could find and build that. And then he's like, I think the Tundra works good. I like it, I'm comfortable with it. How can we put a F100 cab on it? And so then he goes to LS Fest, and I'm like, I have a weird feeling right now. He's rolled a couple times, and I'm like, I have this feeling that he's gonna have it rolled. And then boom, I saw it, I saw a picture on Saturday night, someone rolled it. So it was gonna come 2 weeks after LS Fest, which it's in mid-April, I think, or 24th maybe. So later in April. It was supposed to come 2 weeks. Instead, he just dropped it off on the way home.
Right off the trailer.
Yeah, and we actually had the cab, so we didn't start on it for maybe 2 months after. So April, May, June. Started in June. Got the cab. I wanted to body drop it right off the bat, just to get the thing sitting low, because it's a frame rail truck. No matter what, there's still 5 feet of Toyota frame rail in there.
So you dropped the cab on top so you can remove it too if there was whatever damage again?
That part, but I also wanted it to get sitting lower. Like when you have your normal truck, you have frame rail, and then you have a cab that sits almost on top of the frame rail. And when you see a body lift, that's why you really notice it, because then you can almost see through the cab and frame. So with a lot of street trucks, they body drop them. So they cut out the floors, and they want them really low, so then they almost go level with the bottom of the frame rails with the bottom of the rockers in the cab. So this is body dropped. So that's why it sits so low, and that's why it tucks so high.
That's why it looks so good.
And that's why it has that stance. And the other win we got too is we got to plot where we wanted the body. So instead of putting this thing on and then being at the will of like where the fenders land, we got to put the body on and put the fenders exactly where we want, so it doesn't have that like weird chihuahua, that thing where the tires are all stuffed into the firewall. So we got proportions like laid out before we even constructed the chassis.
The tires are really far forward, right? Yeah.
Well, they're centered. Like we just kind of mocked everything, and that's why this cut, like, I love that body line, and that bums me out, but that's just how that has to be for functionality. It's got the same up travel. It's 12 inches in the front, and it's 14 or 15 in the rear. The other thing we did, shorten the wheelbase. So this was 135 inch wheelbase, center to center. The front and the rear is kind of your typical for like an extra cab Prerunner, but the real sweet spot is like that 124 to 126 trophy truck wheelbase.
Truck, right?
Yeah. And if there's something about trucks with 40s, with center mount, 4-link, like they get that 124, 125 wheelbase, and that's where things work really well. Eric's truck had trailing arms in the back. We wanted it. We tried to get it to work with what it had before, and we got it really good. But now we had this opportunity, so I said, hey, let's put the right chocks on here. Let's do the right trailing arm. So now it's a traditional trailing arm, 55-inch link.
Because it had a little dog leg, right?
It was ugly. We did what we could to not alter the shock mounts because we didn't want to cut into the chassis. I'm like, the best thing we can do to make it work is do the trailing arms.
Yeah.
So I'm like, let's get rid of that. That's the elephant in the room right off the bat. And put traditional Blitzkrieg trailing arms canoes, and then also updated the shock. So now the bigger bypass, instead of a 14-16, we did a 16-18, which is your traditional. 35 inches of travel, got 10 inches more travel out of it. The up travel is still the same. The body just sits low, so it just tucks into oblivion. But
it's got to look so good fully bumped out, right?
Yeah, and then the shortened wheelbase, it gives you this thing that you'll get where you'll have a nasty overlap on the bed side.
Okay.
It's,
How are you gonna mount it? Are you gonna trim it here, or are you gonna overlap it?
we're gonna overlap.
Okay.
Yeah, and then the exhaust, I mean, I don't know if you want to go under there, but you can kind of see the exhaust goes through the frame here, right? It's kind of loosey-goosey.
Yep.
But the exhaust is all charted to go up through here, and then we'll pop up, and if you think about behind the cab, it goes here, and then it's gonna exit right here.
Nice.
So we'll have like a nasty big teardrop. But yeah, what we did, this whole thing is, got it down to bare frame, and then plotted where the cab's gonna go. Mocked it up in a way where it could stay there, and then we built the whole cage in here pertaining to this cab now. And it's a slip body, so this whole cab unbolts. It comes off. If it rolls again, or if he wants to put a fresh cab on and not like a roached one where it's got this patina.
That slip body is awesome. Like,
Yeah.
there's no better.
Yeah, so it's all bolts, and it's not complete, but like all the rockers, that's the height of the frame. So like the floor is the frame.
I can't believe you got the interior so clean so fast too.
Yeah.
That was the surprise for me. Like,
Absolutely.
when I walked out, I was like, oh shit, they sure did a lot of work.
Yeah, and all the cages rolled, like that upper hoop, it goes in the cab, and it comes all the way through here, rolls through the front, and then pops out the other side. It's all the same tube.
Oh wow, yeah.
And then everything's rolled on the top too.
Yeah, it's amazing. And it's so tucked up against the cab too.
Yeah,
It's proper.
yeah, it is, and that's the other thing. Like, it's got very different B pillar, and the whole thing is kind of designed to be ran like a truggy, meaning, you know, like a truck buggy where there's not a cab on it, and it live axle rear like a Herps, you know, like the Landshark or whatever. And so when you could take this off, the dash can stay, the seats stay, all the floors can stay. This separate is just the helper for the mounting, so that comes off, and then you have a bona fide truggy here. All the tin work, everything is like a visual vibe of a truggy, where it just comes right off. So other thing we did too, obviously all of this is kind of just like signature tin work.
Yeah, that's you can tell that a mile away. You did that one.
And there's coolers in here, so there's a small oil cooler, small trans cooler. It never had an oil cooling issue. It didn't have a trans issue, so we didn't really need to update these things. It did good. The part of what we had here is something that already worked really well. So all this is kind of, I'm using as like my bro science here, is to exhaust all the heat that's in here.
Yep.
Not just the shocks, but where the exhaust comes. It's nice to just have the pull going in from the storage area and pulling out and just circulating something. You know, even if you had a hot area, as long as you blow on it, it's not gonna soak it like it would if it was just stagnant. And then also upgraded, so we had a mid-mount cell or a cell behind the cab, and we have a fuel tank now, a baffled tank that's 75 gallons. That's gonna get all the weight. Because the little secret that I didn't like really make a thing before is that this had 575 pounds of plate back here that was bolted in. I had 1/2-inch plates hiding back here to make it work good, because these trucks love to have weight over the rear.
Keith
and I, we both did some witchcraft. So
that was the first thing when he got my truck, was like,
put weight
tires in the back, weight in the back.
So that's that. Now we don't have to do that. We have 75 gallons, which is like
beautiful.
600 pounds full. So it's a new housing. The housing before was narrower, it's a 3.5, and it was also the rear track width was 12 inches narrower than the front, so it was doing weird stuff that would obviously maybe even, you know, help the rollover thing go down. So now it's 95 and 93, which is pretty nice. That's what people want. You know, you want like an inch or 1.5 inches narrower per side on the rear. So it's pretty.
And it's a Camberg rear end?
A Camberg, yeah, full floater, 30 jumbo 36, all the big stuff. And then it has a Evan Weller 10-inch that goes in there.
Beautiful. That's like just their straight trophy truck rear end, right?
Yeah, it's not, I mean, all of the components are trophy trucks on it. So it's just, amazing. It already did good. It's going to be exciting because it's just, I can't imagine how it'll do now. You know, it did amazing things like it was before.
So it's going to be sealed cab, AC or no sealed cab?
No AC.
No AC.
This is the AC right here.
Yep, so, I got it.
Yeah.
Old school.
Someone closed them. And
but rear back window?
Yeah, side windows, it's got a chop back window, so I have glass being made for that. And then we'll have like filler panel, just very similar to this, all aluminum. Every panel in this unbolts except for the dash, because even if you were in truggy form, that can just live there, you know?
You're gonna cover this in with like a little plate?
That'll have a trim piece too. So everything will come off, but it won't be like completely sealed unless you wanted to put like a body seal or a weather stripping and stuff. But no matter what, it's seams that are bolted together, mixed with, there'll be like aircraft solid rivets everywhere. Everywhere there's Clecos will be solid rivets, just like an airplane wing.
That's beautiful, man.
Yeah, both seats are on
Interior's
sliders.
amazing.
The driver's side, just because Eric's a shorter fella, those go up 2 inches. So the driver's side lifts 2 inches. It's
Awesome.
Like it's not a slide, but it's an adjustment you can make if you just kind of need to pick the seat up, put the pins in, and you're good. Same with like the column. The column's a tilt. So both of the seats are on sliders, and obviously just a fixed middle.
Yeah, it's amazing, man. I can't wait to see this thing. I think it's a little bit more than bare bones.
Well, like when I look at it, I'm like, oh god, no, because it's just so unfinished. It's probably 70%. We got 30 to do. So I want to have like dead pedal for the driver on the left, and then like a big dead pedal box for the passenger. And people don't understand how useful that is when you're driving a car, to be able to like really brace your left foot there if you're not using it.
Yeah, for sure.
And then same, make like a dead pedal. Right where that X is in the middle is where the third seat guy's feet are. That's why the shifter's kind of floating. We just want to like occupy the real estate there with anything. So everything's planned out proper. And then obviously that storage back there, that big.
Yeah, what are you gonna do in that little void?
It's like a pit of despair. We'll prioritize what goes back there, you know, as far as necessity. Like a speed toolkit will fit perfect in that width, right? That'll mount.
Pelicans or something.
Well, we have the speed one, and then that's what Eric brought with like the Izzy Fab holder. And then like a hybrid cooler, like a soft cooler with a 12-volt plug, and then recovery stuff, and then the jack will go in the back.
Awesome, man.
So it's pretty dialed.
So it's Holly, screens, and EFI, and then Switch
Auto
Pros.
meter.
Auto meter.
Yeah,
That's
auto
cool.
meter, and then we have the 12 button, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the
Switch
newer
Pros,
one, right?
Yep, the big one.
Yeah, and then let's go on the passenger side. I know you. Hi. So we'll have all of the mains on the driver's side.
Yep.
And then this guy, we recycled this one, so this will be a 911 like for overrides.
Okay.
So everything will turn on auto, and then if you're like shit, then this is just going to be your do that now buttons, you know, for when you need them, so you can watch all that. There's also a spot there. This void is where there's a mob armor and a tablet going. We're gonna try that out and see what we get with that. I don't have experience. Like I rode in RJ's truck using the Onyx app. You know, but I still don't feel comfortable with all that. I like just a traditional GPS.
I think the best option is probably to go both, and then if you got an iPad, you can run whatever software is working at the time or come out with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely have one of those. Well, awesome work, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for showing us around. And
thanks for looking at it. Yeah, I think the thing to kind of expect is Off-Road Expo. We'll have bedsides on. We'll have exhaust in. Probably start the plumbing. Definitely, like there's voids. If you start looking, you're like, oh, whoa, there's like suspension in there and it's not closed. So all these areas will be completely compartmentalized. And then we'll have all the glass on. So we'll have like a custom window here. All the kind of crap from before that was notched into here, that'll be gone. Obviously I left returns in here. So this is to seat another panel once I figure out where things go. But it will be a complete enclosed. Like this kind of paneling will be in the front too. So it'll start, that's just your floorboard, but it'll start here and it'll completely
close all that
everything.
in, yeah. That's gonna look killer. I'm ashamed to hide the engine, but
yeah, it is. But there'll be enough mesh in there.
to
You'll be able
get
to
a peek.
If you're looking, you'll find it.
Yeah.
So that's it.
It looks so wild so far back. It looks killer.
It does. Yeah, I talked to McQueen about possibly trying to get a fender for us that makes sense. Just because when I was doing this, I was like, oh my gosh, we're losing it. We're losing the dent side. We're losing the dent side. You know, and I knew it was going away. I just didn't know it was going to be that gnarly.
I don't know how.
Because that shape, it's one thing if the shape just goes up, but since it starts to come in, it's like angles where you look at it from one way and it works, and then other ways you're like, ooh, it's a little tricky. So I think if we can try to pull these, get something good out of it, there's enough runoff from here where this will just get bigger, and then you can cut venting in here and put mesh in there. Yeah, and have it big and nice, be smooth. The new McQueen is a 6.5 on the rear, so we should get a win off those right off the bat.
Okay, yeah.
Especially notched into the cab as much as they are. So that's
keep
that.
it flat. None of this.
Yeah,
Kicked out.
No.
No, it's gonna look awesome, man.
Cool.
Thanks for showing me.
Yeah.
Great
Hope
job.
you guys enjoyed.